Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast, continuing on through the month of Jurassic June, brought to you by our Patreon producer, Stephen Keller, who told me about that name of June. And Jurassic World Dominion is out now, actually. That happened now, so it's fully Jurassic June. So we're even more entitled to call it that. I have big news. So I'm Illeagle 86, one of your typical three hosts. Joined by Nerdbomber and Techtic, my other two typical hosts.
Hello.
I would say we're atypical people, but typical podcast host kind of people. Big news. This is big. I told Nerdbomber and Techtic, I said I got big news, but I have to share it on the air to get their genuine reaction. I am now the owner of a bread maker.
Yeah,
that a freaking boy.
This is big.
Have you made a bread yet?
Well, no, I got it yesterday. So
Don't make bread first.
What is your excuse?
Make pizza dough first.
I'm working my way up to it. Well, so we also got some background here. My fiance had a bridal shower. So like we were given things, which bridal showers are great for that. And you know what else we got? Well, we got many things, but along with the bread maker, we also got a pizza stone. So it seems kind of like a match made in heaven of like we should make pizza dough first and like see how that goes. So
what kind of pizza is on the docket? Pepperoni? Are you going to put like vegetables? Like what kind of pizza are you?
Well, so I'm a look, my fiance and I are very happy. We're going to get married. We're very, we're a good couple.
He's implying
I'm not sure
to spice it up with crazy toppings.
No, what I'm implying is I don't know if we can coexist. Depending on the size of the pizza, I don't know if we can coexist on one pizza happily because we have differing opinions on this. I am a cheese and pepperoni man. Classic, straight up, no nonsense. Every now and again, I will toss some green peppers on there if I'm feeling fanciful. My fiance is more of a kind of like a supreme, like just anything you got, put it on there. A lot of the time she's into that. She's also really into just green peppers, mushrooms, and onions a lot of the time.
Couldn't you combine that though? Do like a fitty pizza?
I don't know why you couldn't do cheese pepperoni and banana peppers. I feel like that would tickle both your fancies.
It depends on pizza size. I need to fully investigate the capabilities of the pizza stone that we got. This is all to say I don't know what kind of pizza it'll be yet, but I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. I have another bread related update that you short-circuited me on. So we got the bread maker, haven't used it yet. Another gift that we got, and we have used it because we got it before the shower because it was sent from someone from far away, so it just came in the mail and we were like, we'll just open this and start using it, is a bread box. Do you guys own a bread box?
No,
I put my bread in the fridge. I feel like that keeps it fresher longer.
Well, so first of all, and I might be wrong about this, I think bread in the fridge is weird. I want to put that on record. I don't need cold bread.
You're weird.
Good comeback. The bread box though, like, okay, if I gave you a bread box tomorrow, how would you use the bread box?
I'd flip it upside down and use it to hold flowers, put some soil in it.
So that's the thing though, like we don't often have bread in our house. That's why we need to put it in the refrigerator because like our bread usage, very minimal. We'll do bagels, which should go in the fridge. And we do a lot of like obviously hot dog hamburger buns in the summer, but like regular white bread, we just don't do.
Yeah,
well, I'm a sandwich every day, man. So we have a constant stream of bread in the house.
So like you're constantly eating cold cuts? Are you a big cold cut household?
Yep. Constantly eating cold cuts. On a real big bologna kick right now. And I don't mean like I'm going around telling people falsehoods and they're like, that's bologna. I mean like I'm actually eating bologna sandwiches.
I gotta be honest with you.
A lot of days.
I said you were weird before. Mm-hmm. You're weird. Mm-hmm. Bologna's gross, man.
Yeah, bologna is not gross. I will die on this hill. Bologna is not gross.
If I'm eating bologna, I'm splurging and doing olive loaf. But straight up
olive loaf is weird to olive loaf is weird to me because I don't like olives.
That's how you make your bologna classy.
This is not the point of my story, but shout out to our Twitters, at @OWLeague86, at @OWTechtic, at @OWNerdbomber, at Online Warriors 1 is our main show account. Where are you at on bologna? Pro, anti, in between somewhere? Let us know.
I bet you most people say, if I'm going to have a sandwich, it's going to be like a nice piece of fried chicken or a grilled chicken breast. Cold cuts with their sliminess, I could take it or leave it.
That's not like feasible. Like I'm like making this in the morning before I go to work. I'm not frying up a chicken. That's not in the cards. Anyways, back to bread boxes for a second. What my fiance did with the bread box, which I think was very reasonable and is probably what I would have done. We had a loaf of bread, pretty much a full loaf of bread.
She put it in the box.
It was in the plastic bag that we got it in, and she opened the bread box, took the bread out of the bag, and arranged it in the box, and like put it in there much like you would a loaf of bread. Closed the box, walked away. I'm noticing some staleness. We're a few days in with the bread box. I've only had one sandwich so far.
So I'm gonna blow your mind.
I'm noticing staleness. I don't know. Do we keep it in the bag when it's in there?
Supposed to do.
Oh no, you're supposed to. You're supposed to keep it in the bag though.
You're supposed to keep it in the bag and put it in the refrigerator because bread boxes are stupid.
Well, no, but the bag will help keep the moisture in. You're supposed to keep it in the bag. But then why have the box? Well, that's to hide the light. And I don't really understand that, but like the light.
Hide the light?
Yeah, so if you didn't know this, bread is actually nocturnal.
Wait, hold on. Are you putting me on right now about the light?
No, I think there is something to do with light makes bread go stale. I'm gonna Google
because you're keeping it moist, so you don't want it.
Just Google why have a bread box, because that's what I want to know at this point. Why even have?
Well, no, because you want to keep it moist, so you keep it in the plastic. You keep it in the plastic and expose it to light. You're gonna culture mold because you're giving it all of the resources it needs to flourish. That's why. Whereas if you keep it at a cold temperature, bingo bango, you don't get mold.
Okay, we'll do some research and get back to you guys. But I mean, that sounds feasible to me. That sounds like a good answer from our science man. But I'm like, with that in mind, I don't know. My expectations for the bread box might not have been reasonable. Well, I'll have to report back on the state of our bread in the coming days.
Put a little
right now though.
Pump.
Right, I can probably science the crap out of this somehow. We're not talking about bread boxes today. That's great an episode that would be. So it was last week. Last week we talked state of play for a while. This week we got, among a couple of other game showcases that we're not going to cover, including the Guerrilla Collector Showcase and the Wholesome Direct Showcase, we are going to focus predominantly and pretty much entirely on the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase that we got, I believe it was late last week or over the weekend.
It was Sunday. Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a list of games here. We're not going to be able to cover all the games that were even in the showcase, but there's a lot to cover just within the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. I feel like it should come as no surprise to anyone who even heard about the event that I think it would behoove us to start with Starfield and just kind of walk through this. This was... So of all the videos that I watched associated with because I didn't watch the entire showcase end to end, of all the videos I watched, the Starfield one was by far the longest. And I think it was because they had the most to say, and for good reason.
And it was the first time we saw like in-depth gameplay of Starfield. Because we've seen trailers a lot, but this is the first time we saw like what the actual game kind of looks like. That's not like cinematic.
Looks dope.
So there's a lot to dive into here. I think predominantly it's all good, so we're going to start with the good. I have a couple of things I don't think we should
dive into it though. I think we should maybe fly into it,
or just like jump and just kind of like float away like they did.
Yeah.
I want to like make special note first. Like, everyone's going to be talking about the character customization and the ship customization and the broad expanse of the world, which is frankly insane to me. But we'll get to that. Or the story, or just the way the combat looks, all looks great, right? I want to make special mention of the soundtrack of this game as being one of many X factors that I think will set it apart. It's a game I would liken it to is Destiny in that regard. Destiny had a great soundtrack. This is going to have a great soundtrack, great scoring. I think is going to set it apart. But like, Starfield to me So first of all, I think it was the first time I have been lamenting, first time in a while at least, that I've lamented not having an Xbox. This is not going to be on PlayStation. Wouldn't be caught dead there. I'm not a PC gamer, so I am therefore just kind of screwed blue on this one. This is also going to be Game Pass Day 1, which is obviously a huge deal for people like Nerdbomber and Techtic who, can do that.
Screwed all different colors.
Hold on. I will give you a glimmer of hope, though. Like, I've seen cloud gaming through Game Pass expanding lately. Like, I believe one of the smart TVs is now including access, so all you need is a Bluetooth controller, and you can play Game Pass via cloud gaming directly through your TV. Obviously contending with like lag and stuff like that. And I don't think it'll look as nice as if you're playing it on an Xbox Series X, but there's always the possibility that this could be one of the titles. I'm not sure. I didn't see it confirmed for cloud gaming, but like it could be. So maybe you can play it that way on the cheap.
Question: If it's available
for cloud gaming,
if it's available for Xbox One, would you buy an old Xbox One?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not that good. I don't think it would be that good. There's a couple of things that I have to say in the negative column for this one, but I don't want to. I want to get there later. I mean, I guess we can kind of go around. Biggest positives. What's the single thing that you're most excited about with this game? And you, Techtic, you seem like you're brimming with excitement, so I'm gonna kick it over to you to start.
So I'm gonna go ahead and answer that question with yes. We all stare up at the skies at night and wonder what's out there. Will we ever be able to explore beyond in our lifetime? And hopefully the answer is yes. But what's really great about this game and the options that it gives you is the character customization, in my opinion. I've always said this time and time again. It is a feature that I love. I love putting myself or even some figment of my imagination into the story, be it a character with a backstory that I've predetermined or simply me. And with the various backgrounds like careers, you can be a diplomat, I'm assuming you could be an engineer or a scientist and things like that, to give you different skills and traits that can help you or adapt you in various different ways. That's awesome to me. I really hope that I can literally make me, and for those of you who have seen me, average looking guy, above average snage size, but like that'd be awesome to just be skipping around with my face. And then on top of that, as I said, you can leverage your background, your skills. You can most likely put that into your base. That's the thing that I liked. Even in Skyrim, I loved making various villages and home bases along the not Skyrim, Fallout. Along the way, and to be able to mine and create and build your home base, that is just like I am thriving. I am living my best life. I can see most of my time being between my village and the barren high mineral planets that are around me. So that's what I'm most excited for, is specifically the village building and hopefully leveraging a engineer class skill tree to be able to really thrive.
I figure you'd also be jazzed about the ship customization too.
So that's my answer. The ship customization, to me, this game, it looks like an amalgam of successful games, which I think is a great strategy. There were various times in this game watching this footage for this game. So you have scanning, which I thought was very similar to the Metroid games that I love. Scanning a plant you see, scanning an animal, scanning a mineral, just to see what it is, what it can do for you. Making that optional, I think, it's exactly what the Metroid games did, the Metroid Prime games, I should say. And I think that worked really well because you can kind of make of that whatever you want, right? Ship customization almost had a Sims vibe to it. Which, people go crazy for that sort of thing, obviously.
It reminded me...
To say nothing of flying it around, designing it seems awesome.
The ship customization, and I know you never played this, but I know Techtic watched me spend a lot of time in this, but in Kingdom Hearts 3, there's the gummy ship builder, and it reminded me, obviously it's more in-depth than anything in Kingdom Hearts.
The graphics are slightly better.
That too. But, it did remind me a lot of the gummy ship builder, and I spent so much time in that.
Well, the other thing, the weapons upgrading, and talking about doing research on weapons, finding benches and using parts to upgrade weapons, that's Last of Us. and like it's a lot of other games, but it's one of the critical parts of Last of Us. The bench that they showed, it's very similar to that setup. So I feel like they're taking elements of my favorite games and combining them. The combat, I'm generally pro. Again, compared to like with RPGs, you never really know, right? Like I often look to the example of Fallout as like that's a game that I feel like ostensibly is about post-apocalyptic combat, but the combat is kind of wonky. Like I don't think it's particularly good.
Did you play
this looked
Fallout
a lot tighter
4?
than that? I don't Fallout. The thing about the Fallout games is they have that you like zoom in on specific parts of bodies and stuff, and you're picking what has the highest.
You don't
hit
have
percentage.
to do that. You can just shoot.
But putting it in there, I feel like I need to use it. Like I don't want to have to do long division to figure out where I'm shooting somebody. I have a gun, there's space pirates, I'm going to shoot them, which also space pirates, amazing. Another Metroid Prime thing, and also a general like cool space game kind of archetype that I think is very smart to put in.
Speaking of the space pirates, it kind of was heavily implied, and this is one of the things that I'm really excited about. So one of the things I love the most about Fallout is that you can kind of carve your own path. And they obviously like said that pretty explicitly, that this was going to be your own story and what you make of it. But as they were going through the story beats, there was kind of a section where it seemed like you could join the space pirates. You didn't have to be a good guy. You didn't have to follow that path.
Right.
You could become a space pirate instead. And that's one of the things I really loved about Fallout, and what I'm sure I'm going to love about this game, and it's very unique in Bethesda games, is your ability to carve your own path so very clearly and make your experience much different than any other experience someone might have. Even if you choose one path, like the direct decisions, the people you befriend, the bases you go to, and which planets of the apparently 1,000 that you go to is going to give you a vastly different experience than anybody else. And while it's a little bit daunting, it was one of the things that really hooked me on Fallout, and I'm sure will hook me again because, like Techtic said, it's one thing to play like open world games. Typically at the end of the day, it's still following the same narrative thread for the most part, but feeling like you can actually carve your own story is a very uniquely Bethesda thing for me. And I'm excited to do that in space.
Are you going to be a space pirate?
I mean, I have to see what the story beat is. And that's one of the cool things too, because the writing in these games, like I know some people kind of go about some of the Fallout writing, but I thought the writing in Fallout 4, especially, like there's twisty twists at the end, and I thought the writing was great. And especially my favorite part of Bethesda writing is the characters that you meet, and they put a lot of thought into the characters that you meet. And assuming that the character writing is as good as previous Bethesda games, I'm really excited, and that will kind of influence what I decide to do based on what characters I kind of like fall in love with. Not like literally, but like which characters I relate to the most and end up wanting to follow. So maybe I will be a space pirate. Who knows?
I'm going to do exactly what I would do in real life and become a galactic conqueror. Space pirates will work for me fine, but I won't be a space pirate.
I think the story of this game is very simple, and I think that is befitting of like in such a insanely large scoped game where you can do so many things. The story should be small. I do think like it seems like the story is kind of reined into like, okay, we have this kind of constellation group that you're going to join, and that kind of shoehorns you into the ability to kind of go around and do things, much like becoming a Spectre does in Mass Effect. And like it doesn't need to be much more complicated than that. There's artifacts out that you have to go find, whatever. You can do that while you're doing a million other things.
I do like that you brought up Mass Effect, because I do think the Mass Effect influence is actually pretty heavy here.
A lot of clear parallels.
I mean, even when you look at, and I can't remember if this sort of map appeared in Mass Effect 1 or if you'll get to it in Mass Effect 2 or 3, but even the way they laid out the solar systems with the rings and how the planets are kind of aligned and you can kind of zoom in and out of the solar system, that reminded me so heavily of navigating the solar system in Mass Effect. And I even commented as we were watching the trailer, I was like, that feels like straight out of Mass Effect. And I mean, that's not a bad thing because it worked really well for that game. So why not replicate it?
It seems like it's just them taking successful pieces of other games and kind of mushing them all together, which is a great idea. I was happy to see ship-to-ship combat, definitely. I think that's always a cool thing. I don't think it's done enough. I don't know if the last time it was done particularly successfully. So I'm hoping they can make some hay with that. I want to talk about the scope.
Are you worried about the scope? I'm a little worried about the scope.
I think it's too big. I'm not worried about it. I think it's wrong right now to do that. And it kind of like dovetails with another one of the points I want to make here in the negative column, which you're maybe gonna laugh. You're maybe gonna see this coming. What I want Bethesda to have done, because it's too late for them to do it now, but what I want them to have done is cut the 1,000 planets down to 100, and with all the time you save doing that, make the graphics better. This game's been in development for I don't know how long. Some of the like wide shots of the planet exteriors, some of them were good, don't get me wrong, but some of them were bad. Like some of them were, and like the graphics were not the point of this game, and I had to repeat that to myself as a mantra throughout watching this trailer.
No, but I get it, and it's very important.
It's so behind.
Yeah,
like it's behind. Definitely.
The character models especially felt very dated to me because those character models looked like something I was playing on my Xbox One in Fallout 4.
Some of the they have these like, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because the part where you meet this lady, the story part of the trailer where they're talking about the Constellation Group and everything. The whole time I was like, this lady's eyes are crossed. Like they're slightly crossed. It's like this is 2022. You can do better than that.
And like this every time.
Why you gotta pick on this lady? That's just her eyes.
Well, but it wasn't just her though. It was because at one point I literally thought I was like, maybe it's just that character. No, it's if you look and like, and also that's a huge part of RPG games is them with that like close in, just face to face talking to folks, and they're looking directly at you. It's like, just uncross the eyes. Like write the 2 lines of code it's going to take to do that. I don't know. That's minimizing what game designers do. But it just felt like
that's a kind of a big issue in my opinion with Bethesda games, and we even saw like I felt like the Fallout 4 character models were very dated, and whenever that game came out back on the Xbox One and PS4 era, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, like the game is really great. I love everything about it. The story is sweeping, but these characters look like something out of the 360 era, and they really haven't updated it. And it is like you said, like RPGs are supposed to be immersive, especially something like this where you're potentially spending hundreds, if not maybe thousands of hours if you're really a completionist exploring everything. And you have games like Horizon where the character models look amazing, and then you have this that looks kind of dated.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they also showed Fallout 76's The Pit new update, and it does not stand up against anything graphically.
I think there was a time, probably right around the Skyrim time, where like it was fine for them to kind of cut graphical corners because at that point, like 360 graphics still weren't like. Graphics weren't what they are now, which like the standards are so high now, or they should be higher than this, you know, and it's a lot easier now to notice that. And I don't want to like, again, I'm
not worried so much for this one because most of the gameplay, I don't think you're going to see characters. I think you're going to be in a spacesuit. You're going to be interacting with the environment. You're going to be interacting with various creatures, animals, what have you. And I really think it's going to be a small part of the whole game. So I kind of get not really putting a lot of time and effort into that.
I wonder how much of the, like, because I know a lot of the effort instead of character models obviously went into making 1,000 planets. And I wonder like how much of that is going to be available to you in any one playthrough. Like I wonder if decisions you make will kind of close off some of the galaxy to you, or if you'll be able to access everything in a single playthrough. Because I got to be honest, that fact alone, like, yeah, that stole resources from upgrading other things in the game too. But also, like, who has time for that? That just feels daunting. Well, will I be able to finish the story?
Right. Like, it's super impressive. And first of all, I don't think they're going to limit the scope at all. I think they want to have 1,000 planets just so they can say, here's 1,000 planets you can go to. But, like, to me, that's not, and like Nerdbomber, me and you are, I think, sort of completionists, and like this is a nightmare of a game for us in that regard. But it's also just like from a technical perspective, when you have 1,000 planets in your game, you cannot tell me that there's not going to be one planet there. It's going to be like the Cyberpunk 2077 of planets. It's just going to be like a bug festival going there. Like, there's no way. Like, the scope is just too big for it to be at all tightly wound. Like, to me, it's a red flag. And that's, I know I'm raining on everyone's parade because that's like, it was a thing they revealed at the end, and they were clearly like very excited about the scale. But like,
as soon as they said it, though, like my heart sunk a little bit, because what I do worry about is, there are games where after a certain point, I can turn off the completionist because I just want to move on and I want to gun through the story. But like, if you have to get through a ton of planets,
it's not an option for you at this point. Like, well, yeah, you're not gonna be able to do it.
How, like, I want to know how tied to all of these planet exploration missions the main story plot is going to be, and am I going to miss out if I don't spend 1,000 hours in this game? Because realistically, ain't no one got time for that.
I just want to find the planet with all the monkeys that gives me infinite Paragon again. That's the goal.
It's just, I think, and like, to go back to the positive for a second, like, this game is going to be
amazing,
the biggest deal ever. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be like, again, I'm still like, what you're hearing from me right now is a lot of jealousy not being able to play it. There's no doubt. Like, everything down to I think they call it the Digilock. I was like, I want to do that. The Digipick, that's what they called it, to pick locks. Like the little mini game you play to pick locks. When I saw that, I was like, that looks awesome. What the heck? I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, there's definitely some bitterness coming out from me right now, but I don't know, for how long this game has been talked about, I expected more graphically, and I think to get that, it would have made sense to say, here's 100 planets. Like, that's still an insane amount of planets. Like, I think if you told someone 100 planets, they would say, right, if you said 100 planets, like, people would still be like, that's insane. That would take me a year to play. Like, 1,000 isn't even, it's hard for me to fathom that, Who's going to visit because I'm sure, that's the other thing. Like, let's give credit to the gaming community. I'm sure the game will be out for a week, and there's going to be YouTube videos like, I visited all 1,000 planets I almost called it Mass Effect, Starfield. And like, power to those people, but that is such a niche audience to me that just like, I don't know. It seems like they should have scaled it down and graphicked it up.
I will say this game does, and I know we've drawn a lot of comparisons to Mass Effect so far, but it really does feel like the Mass Effect trilogy sequel that Mass Effect Andromeda wanted to be. Like, if you added aliens into this game, you could easily be like, yeah, this is the next generation of Mass Effect. Yeah.
It's trying to be the spiritual successor.
I mean, Illeagle said it best. It took a lot of the best parts of a lot of really good games and just smooshed them together.
It's calling it a Frankenstein feels
disingenuous,
but it's more, it's like, it's just a conglomerate of so many great things, and I feel like it was probably pretty craftily and like coldly calculated to just be this absolutely awesome game. And like, I doubt in terms of gameplay they probably didn't fumble the ball anywhere. It's just like, the graphics have me a little underwhelmed, I guess, and the scope has me just full on terrified. I mean, now luckily for me, again, I don't have a horse in this race. I might never get to play it, or if I do, it won't be for a while. By the time it gets to me, they might have pared it down a little bit. I doubt that. They would never take planets away, but
I think the biggest issue, kind of like you mentioned before, is going to be bugs. I know Bethesda has had a track record with releasing buggy games off the bat, and I think Fallout 76 was a big one that lost a lot of people, actually, because it was kind of a mess. And so it'll kind of be interesting to see how they balance that, because the scope of this game is so big. There's gotta be bugs, and they have to have that worked out, and they have to be ready for it, because if they don't address it quickly off launch, it could be a mess.
I mean, if I'm a Bethesda dev and I'm like working and it's like Friday at 4:30 p.m. and I'm like working this one planet and I'm like, man, I can't get this tree to look right. If 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm like, well, it's one of 1,000 planets. People might never see this. And just mark it as done and leave. And then like it'll like destroy the entire planet because of some bug. Like, it seems like a potential bug factory. And I agree, they have to be on top of that. And I'm sure they're thinking about that already. It's just, could be a perfect storm in that regard. We have a lot of other games to talk about. I mean, Starfield was the biggest one. Certainly, we got the most footage for that one. So this seems like an appropriate time to take our mid-episode breakity break. But before we do that, I would, of course, be remiss if I did not shout out our fantastic Patreon producer, Mr. Stephen Keller, currently 1-1 on the year in quizzes in his guest spots because Nerdbomber is a real butt cheek. And she stole the win from him last time.
Sorry,
Stephen
sorry.
supports us at our... She's not sorry, Stephen. Tweet at her. I can hear you tweeting from here. Give her hell. Stephen supports us on Patreon at the highest of our 3 levels of support, which is the night level. As a result, he sits with us at our square table. He gets access, of course, to the monthly secret segment and vlog. He gets his producer shout out every episode. He gets input into the weekly game segment, and he gets the occasional guest spot in which he usually wins at the quiz, but not the most previous time. There's also a Squire level of support, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and there's a Page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. For details on any and all of those levels of support, you can head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Get the details there. Say hi to Steven. Say hi to us. Consider giving back to the show. And keeping the mics hot, as they say. Thanks again to Steven. We'll take a short break now to shout out a sponsor. And we'll be right back.
Psych, no break today.
Okay, we are back, and we are going to keep moving through some of the bigger announcements from the Xbox Bethesda showcase. I want to talk about Redfall real quick, if and you don't mind. This is Arcane, right? And not right. I know this is Arcane.
This is
and
with vampires.
Okay, so it does seem like Left 4 Dead with vampires. Now that's interesting because Back 4 Blood just came out. So it's interesting that they're kind of going this route. But Arcane, from me, I don't want to say they have a blank check, so to speak, but Prey was so good.
Did you ever end up playing Deathloop?
I have not yet. I have it. I own it, but I haven't played it yet. I got really good vibes from this. That's the point I was trying to make is I like the idea of a Prey-like game that is about vampires, because vampires are, fun fact about me, one of my most visceral fears. I had nightmares when I was a child from years
same.
about vampires.
I never knew this.
Vampires be scary, you know. I don't like them. I love the idea of the monologuing that we got in this trailer. I thought that was fun. I don't know if that's going to continue throughout the whole game, but I thought it was entertaining. It made it feel a little bit more natural as this character is going through this combat, and the combat looked great also. I just think it looks very tightly wound. I used that phrase before to talk about Starfield being not very tightly wound. I think this looks tightly wound, and I'm all in on this one. This one looks fantastic.
Well, I like to...
Techtic, thoughts on... Oh, sorry. I was going to ask Techtic, but go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed, so obviously it has the co-op option, and I'll probably end up playing this with Techtic, but it also gives you the option to play solo and not need 3 other people, which is something that a game like Left 4 Dead, I know you could play with AI, but it always kind of sucked. But I feel like Arcane does a pretty good job with their AI. I know some people, and you'll probably figure this out when you play Deathloop, some people had a problem with Deathloop's AI being a little stupid. But generally speaking, throughout all of Arcane's games, I think the AI is a little bit more intuitive than in some of the other games that I've played with AI companions. And so I am looking forward to playing it either way. And I love the fact that they gave you the option, because maybe Left 4 Dead, I don't even know if you got AI. I think you just got randomly paired with other people. I cannot remember. But I just remember if you didn't play online or with people you knew, the experience sucked. And I feel like with this game, they're kind of giving you the option, and that, inner monologue sort of thing that's going on is going to kind of make the experience good no matter which way you want to play it.
Who's your character?
That's kind of tough. Part of me wants to have what does she have, psychic abilities? I think that's kind of cool and unique and
telepathic.
I like that kind of stuff in all of Arcane's games. I kind of like that dealio. but there's a lot of cool skills that they showed. So I'm not entirely sure.
Cryptid guy is my choice, definitely. Lightning bolts. I was pretty much just sold from that point forward. Yeah, I love the vibe. I love there's a touch of irreverence that I think is appropriate. And I'm just like, they called the telepathic girl like there's something sort of a joke about student debt, and I brought it up and now I don't remember it, but it was like talking about how she's in a bunch of student debt, and I was like, haha, it's funny because I have student debt. But yeah, no, I was really into this one overall. Techtic, any negatives on this one, or should we just say this looks amazing?
Yeah, this looks great. I was a big fan of the Left 4 Dead. I love the co-op fight monster games. It's just a good time. It's not a very low bar to entry. You get to play with your friends and blow stuff up. Who doesn't like that? Plus, I'm a big fan of vampires as a whole. The cover art should really be me as a little kid in my little vampire costume.
It is super adorable. Please post that on Twitter for everyone to see.
Coming in hot with all the Twitter stuff tonight, but I agree it needs to go up on the Twitter sphere. Yeah, Left 4 Dead, and like I was just at a store this weekend, and I have a backlog of games already, but I was this close to buying Back 4 Blood. Because the thing about Back 4 Blood is $30, and it's like they know what they are. They're like, we're Left 4 Dead. We know you wanted it again, and we have it. Like, I don't even know if it's gotten particularly good reviews or not. But
do you want me to make you sad?
Is it bad?
It's on Game Pass.
Oh, it does make me sad. Try it and let me know how it is. Because I was literally this close to buying it. And when I say this close, I'm holding my fingers up and they're really close together. So, yeah, Redfall looks awesome. That'll be coming out. When does that come out?
Sometime in 2023. I don't think they had a full release date, but it was 2023. And one thing to note, and this is true of a lot of games, including Starfield and now Redfall, they're all releasing, well, not all of these games, but most of the things shown in this showcase were releasing either day one on Game Pass or eventually on Game Pass.
Yeah. Push back to the first half of 2023 is what I'm reading. And yeah, day one Game Pass. Moving right along, and this is another one I want to spend a couple minutes on here. Diablo 4. Now, I'm not a Diablo fan. I've never played Diablo. I know Diablo is a big deal. And I had a lot of friends in college who played the crap out of Diablo 3. And then they've spent however long waiting for Diablo 4, and they've been teased with mobile game announcements that were not Diablo 4 for the longest time. I love the idea of this. And I think games like this are pretty much always going to be successful. One thing I wanted to mention about this trailer, though, is I felt like they were kind of hyping things up that have already existed in other games for a long time. There was one point where they were... Well, there was... The one thing specifically is they were talking about, they're like, you'll be free roaming and you'll see... a group event that you can team up with people and do it together. You can fight this big boss together. And I was like, Destiny's been doing that for 10 years. When I played Destiny at least 5 years ago, that was a big part of the game. And they were talking about it like it was some revolutionary thing. And I just thought that was interesting.
We have not played Diablo either. And I've kind of wanted to for a while, but I struggle sometimes, and I know Tactics did the same thing.
View. It's the camera.
Yeah, the camera view. We struggle a little bit because we get lost in the action. But I think that kind of stuff, like the cross world events and open world stuff, I want to say that's new for Diablo 4. So it's new for the franchise. It's new for Diablo.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think they should have made that clear, because it felt like they were we're doing this revolutionary thing across gaming, and it probably was for Diablo, but yeah, and it's great that it has couch co-op too. I wanted to make special mention of that, because any game that has that is awesome. And I know you have your gripes with the camera system, which I totally understand, but I think that was a good feather for its cap.
This is one that isn't going to be on Game Pass, but that I might be more apt to buy, even though it's not on Game Pass, just because of couch co-op. So, hey, developers out there in the world, I'm more apt to buy your game if couch co-op is involved. I don't care, even if I don't like the camera angle, I'll give it a try.
Well, I also want to bring up one of the other features they mentioned that I thought and it might exist in other games, but I don't know about it. And I thought it was very interesting, was this idea that, and I assume it's only in the PvP zones, but if you're a certain level of good at the game, they like mark you on the map and are like, go kill this guy.
You're a
and,
loot
like,
pinata was the word
like,
they used, and that was amazing.
Yeah, they used the term loot pinata, and like I was just I caught myself thinking like, man, would I want to be like if like I assume presumably the game tells you like you've been marked as a loot pinata.
It finally made me excited.
Would that feel good
to be extraordinarily mediocre at games?
Yeah, like I don't think I would ever want to be that good. So like this is perfect for me. I can try to kill people who are much better than me, but I will never be targeted. Although I wonder if it's like more like if you beat a loot pinata, maybe it's like randomly whoever did the most damage will become the next one or something. Unclear.
Right. It could be some specific mode or what, but I just thought it was interesting how they were like, it kind of was this self-equalizing, like if this person's really good, they're going to be marked for death. And like, I was thinking about how the other half lives in terms of like, I can't imagine being that good at the game and like being marked. Would it feel good? Would it feel bad? How would it feel? Yeah, I just think that was an interesting element. The other thing they brought up that I thought was interesting was, I don't know if it speaks to the shortness of the campaign, but like I thought it was very interesting that in this 5-minute video, they talked pretty extensively about endgame specifically, basically saying when you beat the game, there's still a lot to do. Don't worry. Like I read that
I don't think it has anything to do with the shortness of the game. I don't think that at all. I think it's more they realized that there was a big gap between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, and so they're saying, hey, we're going to support this game for just as long as the last one, and you're going to have a ton of stuff to keep you coming back for years, if not maybe a decade. Because how long? I think the gap was pretty long between the games.
It was super long,
but it was super
at least like it had to be 6-7 years at least, probably more than that. That's a good point. I'm thinking about a lot of these things clearly with outside the context of Diablo, which like it's probably because I've never played a Diablo game, but people and Diablo fans are going to be hitting me up on Twitter being like, you're a big old dummy, which is fair. So yeah, Diablo 4 was another big deal. Again, I don't know that we got a release.
Yeah, I think it was just generic 2023.
You want a really exciting up and coming release date that everyone should be stoked for, guys? Grounded.
I do.
Full game launching September 2022. That game was so much fun just with the little trailer that we got to play, but it was frustrating because we couldn't go beyond because it was blocked. It was just like a little demo.
Yeah, when we played, it was the first game preview segment, and I
remember you talking about it.
We had a lot of fun with it. And I usually don't like those type of games.
It's like Ark, if you're not familiar, but Ark is like extraordinarily frustrating compared to Grounded. It's like Ark Light, which is my speed. Ark was too much for me. But this is September, right in time for when the weather gets cold and you start to become a hermit.
Yeah, we're going to be playing a lot of Grounded, so get ready to hear us talk about that because we've been waiting for the full release of this game since that first game preview.
Sticking with kind of a rapid fire, going through some of these other ones, Ereban Shadow Legacy. I was very like there were a couple trailers that took this sort of approach of, well, Ereban was a little more cinematic, but it was really short, really sweet, really to the point. This is what the game is. It's going to be the stealth section of like Spider-Man or the Batman games, and you're going to be this shadow thing, and it's going to be awesome. And
yeah, the movement in that, it not only did the combat look great, but it had elements of puzzle to it because the way you would move stealthily is as there are moving shadows and things like that would let you traverse the land. And I got to tell you, that is just a neat concept to just absolutely explore, and you can really go beyond with that, right? You can probably move light fixtures to help give yourself an advantage, or inversely move structures to give yourself a shadow coverage. And I think there's a lot to be had there, and I'm just incredibly excited to see where they go with it and what that you can really expand upon.
And the art style is just like, I don't know, I think if you went back 10 years and you asked me about that art style, because I was really into like realism and stuff like that back like 10 years ago, especially coming off the heels of the 360. It felt like the more realistic you could get, the better. But man, I'm really digging like the very stylistic art styles now. And I was really digging the entire vibe of this game.
Well, so, and the game, I kind of mixed it up with this because another game that had a really short trailer that was no one talking, no words, no anything, no story, just kind of, here's what the game is. We think you'll like it, which I love that approach to a trailer. As much as I love cinematics, I love that approach to a trailer as well. Gunfire Reborn looked it was just like, this is 4-player co-op. It's this very, like you said, kind of stylistically unique gunplay game where you're a cat and you're shooting things.
Dude, I want to be a cat so bad. I didn't even know I wanted to be a cat so bad. Like, I knew from Stray I wanted to be a cat, but like, did I want to be a gun-wielding cat? Apparently I did, because I was really interested in this game.
Yeah, I thought this would vibe with you specifically when I was watching it. But some other games I want to touch on. There was a game called High on Life, and what did you guys think of this one? This is a game that I feel like it's very specifically marketing itself to, like, do you ever
Rick
get high and play
fans.
video games?
No, it's marketing itself to Rick and Morty fans. That's what the voice acting is.
Well, it's from the creators of Rick and Morty.
Like, it just felt like with the talking gun, the gun that talks to you, which, like, is a cool idea, by the way. I mean, it's a cool idea. There were just so many, like, scenes from this trailer, which again was like pretty short, that were just like, I can imagine this game would be really fun if you were high playing it.
Well,
I feel like that was part of the pun of it.
I've watched a decent amount of all of Rick and Morty, and there is a lot of parallels, a lot of similar characters, a lot of similar animations to what's in the show. And so that's why this seems almost like a tangential fan servicey games to those fans. That's who this to me is marketing. It's not marketing those who want to get high and play video games. It's marketing those who love Rick and Morty. And so I can get behind that. But just my opinion, just say it. Just make it a Rick and Morty, non-canon
right. That's a good
game
point too.
Instead of being so weirdly similar.
Well, I think one of the things too, I'm a little nervous on. So this looks like it could be really funny or really annoying. It depends how much chatter the guns are going to do throughout the game. Because, yeah, like in this snippet, they obviously had to show as much as they could. So that's probably why the guns were talking all the time. But like, imagine you're just trying to get through a level and all you hear is incessant chatter. Like in any game, I feel like there is a good balance between your AI companions talking to you and just shutting the heck up.
I don't think you have to worry about that. I think being, like I said, the parallels from Rick and Morty, I think they've somehow towed the line successfully of what is a non-annoying character. And I can't really explain it more than that, but they are the experts at that. I will give them that.
It certainly looks interesting. I agree that I think how much the guns talk is going to be a fine balance, but it sounds like Techtic has reason to have faith based on his Rick and Morty experience. I have no Rick and Morty experience, so to me, I was just like, this looks really bizarre, but the premise was very interesting for sure. Other games that you guys, I feel like I've been doing a lot of steering the ship here. Anything you guys want to highlight from the long list of Bethesda games before we get into what are you up to Wednesday?
I think there was a game called Flintlock. There was more to that title. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. I thought that looked interesting just because, I mean, you guys know me and animals. There was a companion fox spirit thing, so I was immediately like, yes. That's all I needed to see. And I was like, this is going to be on Game Pass whenever this comes out in 2023. So I will play the cute fox game. And I mean, it looked fun. There was like hack and slash action. I think there was some magic and shooting.
A lot of portal work. It looks like you can use, and kind of fox whooshing through portals. Yeah,
it looked like it could be like an interesting take on like magical combat and maybe fast paced. And like I said, if there's a cute fox, I'ma play it. So that I think I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I would buy it if not for it being on Game Pass, but that's kind of the nice thing about a lot of these games being on Game Pass is that, I'm watching these and I'm like, oh, cool, I can try this out. And even if it sucks, like this trailer might look really cool, but I mean, sometimes a trailer looks great, the game isn't. And I'm not saying this would be the case with this game, but like, I don't have to worry about sunk costs because it's free with my subscription. It's not free because I'm paying for Game Pass, but like I get to try it out. So
the one that I'm on the fence about that I think needs mention, that I think could be really good and engaging is Cocoon. It's a top-down view puzzle game where you're dropping balls into various, we'll call them vessels or holding areas to move forward and keep traveling through layer on layer and layer of your cocoon, it appears. And this just looks like a very chill, relaxing puzzle game that I think can get a lot of mileage out of, and just that should be the high game, honestly, not the Rick and Morty one.
See, I felt like this game reminded me a lot, and I think I commented on this when we were watching the trailer, but in the latest Ratchet and Clank game, Rift Apart, there are these little mini games when you're Clank, and you have basically, like, I don't remember if they're balls or something, but you have balls that do different things. Like it can create like an air gust or move you left or right or what have you. And then you have to figure out the correct order in which to place all the balls to solve the puzzle. And this feels like that, but in a more top-down, different setting sort of thing. Feels like they basically took that and made a whole game out of it, which isn't a bad thing. But there were also times when that frustrated me. So unclear. And I think one of the other big ones that we do need to touch on, just because it's such a big property, Minecraft Legends.
See, I agree we should touch on it. I just I don't know. Minecraft, like whenever I see anything about Minecraft, I'm like, how did this get popular? Which I know is gonna I just made a bunch of in particular probably our younger fans are probably enraged.
Minecraft is great. The story-driven Minecraft games, I find to be annoying.
So you won't like this because this is more of a story-driven. It almost looks. Was it like online play? I couldn't really grasp if it was going to be massively multiplayer.
That is a correct statement. This to me does not engage me or enjoy me. I played Minecraft to just kind of build my own world, to build a little house, to punch a couple trees, punch a couple of the zombies once I build some weapons.
So just let it be, and I agree, just let it be that then. There doesn't need to be trappings of, why is there a story? Why is there any story?
Exactly.
I'm not asking you, I'm just asking the void.
That's where I think Minecraft thrives. And anytime I see these, hey, here's this great story. And yes, I know there is a subtle story in Minecraft. You got to get down, fight the dragon, what have you. But to me, that's sort of this tertiary achievement than it is the actual point of the game.
Most people playing Minecraft probably don't even know about that, or if they do, they learned about it at the very beginning and then forgot about it because they just want to build something, which that's great, power to them. It's just I thought it was interesting seeing here's this great story. It's do you know why people are playing your game? Because I don't think it's that most of the time. I don't know, maybe that's just me being old.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, I am old. Xbox Bethesda. There were a lot of games we were not able to hit. Let us know on Twitter at OW Illeagle86, at OW Techtic, at OW Nerdbomber, our main show account at Online Warriors 1. What games did we miss? What games did we hit and get wrong? Because I'm sure you feel listening right now there was probably at least one that we got wrong. Let us know. For now, we're going to head into What Are You Up To Wednesday, where we talk about what we've been up to. And I'm going to lead off with
Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm going to lead off with the slogan singer herself, Miss Nerdbomber. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
2 words, and this is kind of a combined with me and Techtic because we've both been spending a lot of time doing this in the last week. Stranger Things.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, okay.
Are you further than me? I finished episode 5.
There's 7 episodes out right now. We watched through episode 6. And I have a lot of thoughts. So first of all, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I would argue
no
that
spoilies.
This is one of
no spoilies. Don't spoil me.
No spoilers.
Don't spoil me. Don't do it. Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anybody because there's still also 2 episodes that don't come out until July 1st. So I think we should do a spoiler cast for a secret segment in July when those come out because I have so much to say.
Definitely.
But I would posit that this may be the best season so far of Stranger Things. I know season 1 is really good, but this might trump that because I love the way that it is kind of tying things together. I can see the threads kind of coming together. I really like Sadie Sink. I think she needs to win some award for her acting this season. Freaking phenomenal. the episode that I don't want to give away, but there is a specific episode where her scene, like I looked over at Techtic, the
She
scene
was
ended.
sweaty. She never sweat.
Yeah, like we were both like, that is one of the most intense and well done scenes that we have seen in a television show in forever. And Illeagle, I know you've seen this scene, so you know what I'm talking about.
It's definitely, yeah, I know what scene you're talking about. It's definitely at least the second best season. I will totally agree with you on that. I don't know. Season 1 might still be my favorite season, but it's definitely stronger than 3 and almost certainly stronger than 2 as well.
And that's what makes my next point so frustrating. I mentioned this before the show. So there's 3 plot points, and
no spoilers.
There's obviously a plot point surrounding some sort of a monster that's not a spoiler. That's pretty constant around the series. And guys, remember when I said I was going to write a book? I started writing a book, and that's my freaking book. The Duffer Brothers. I'm putting it on the air. They stole my idea. There.
They listened to the podcast because didn't we talk about it on a secret segment?
They hacked the Google.
Yeah, I think we did talk about it on a secret segment.
They might be Patreon subscribers. Shout out to those guys. Cheers.
And like, there are characters who have fallen by the wayside for me. Like, there's an entire subplot of a group of characters who, again, I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but I could just give 2 hoots about. Like, I feel like they're stealing screen time from the characters and the story beats that I really want to know about.
I know exactly which group you're talking about.
There's
and
definitely,
I won't say.
There's characters here that they don't know what to do with anymore, and that's fine, but just stop giving them as much screen time. Please let me focus on the characters I want to know about. But even like,
agreed.
There's a new addition of a character who I think fits in really well. And I have so many theories that I want to discuss so badly, but I don't want to spoil anything. And I'm really excited to see how this season wraps up. And it's funny because I know there's another season on the horizon. Season 5 is coming up maybe next year or in the near future. And that'll be the last season that finishes out the show. But I feel like the way this show is kind of trying to answer a lot of questions we've had throughout the entire series so far, it almost feels like this is like endgame level storytelling, but it's not. And it's just the way they've done this season, and I know they've had a lot of time to craft it, so it should be good, but it's just so well done. And if you've been holding out because the episodes are super long, like they fly by, so don't.
Well, and it's not like the length, and like I apologized to the Duffer Brothers and Netflix last week for kind of feeling like I don't really care about Stranger Things anymore.
I care a lot.
Trust me, you do. You don't think, if you haven't started watching season 4 yet, you don't think you do, but you still do. You just don't remember. Like it takes half an episode maybe for you to get wired back in, but it's great.
And that's why when my book comes out, you should read it because you guys are really hyping it up. So thanks.
Also, it did catapult a old 80s song back into popularity that, I'm going to be honest, before Stranger Things, like 6 months ago or whatever, I had this song in my playlist and I was bopping to it. And then I started seeing it on TikTok like a week or 2 ago. And I was like, why is everybody listening to this song? It was not popular. Like, now it's going to be TikTokified.
Go ahead and sing it.
No, I'm
you
not.
were up on the trend.
I was a little defensive, and then I watched how it was deployed in the show, and I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm glad people are finding it popular. I mean, it's a dope song.
Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill, I believe is what it's called.
Yep.
It's like number 1 on the charts right now, probably, or it was last week. So, right on. Anything else to update us on, or should I swing it over to my man T-Dog?
Honestly, no. That has literally been consuming my week. We watch at least an episode a night. I love recording the podcast with you guys, but there's also like a little bit of my brain that's like, you could be finishing what the episodes that are out right now. What are you doing? And
oh yeah, trust me, I feel you on that.
So yeah, that's pretty much been me.
And me.
Cool. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to speak for all 3 of us and say, based on things we've had a busy week. Like, so on my end, definitely been watching Stranger Things. Also had family in from out of town, both sides of the family, my side and my fiance's side, because of the bridal shower, which I mentioned.
I'm just gonna say it, guys. Fun fact about the 3 of us: we're actually a polygamist relationship.
No, we're not.
Illeagle has one husband and 2 wives.
It's not true at all.
So if we said we had a shower this weekend, it's because it was all the same shower. It's his 2 wives were celebrating it.
This is 0% true. But we did.
It's not accurate.
We also had a shower. Yeah. Basically, we were all very, very busy.
We were getting very clean.
Right, very clean.
Salty.
But yeah, got a Roomba. That was another big thing from the shower that I'm very excited to the tech person in me. The inner Techtic that I have living inside myself is jumping with joy right now. I haven't had the time to set it up yet, so over the next couple of days I'm gonna be getting that going, and I think it's gonna be a great time. So lame update from me this week, but more to come next week. Trust me, I'll show up with some big ups next week. In the meantime, I believe Techtic is our quiz boy today. Quiz boy, take it away.
All right, so today's quiz is on the topic of Mallard Trivia. If you don't know what a mallard is, it is a duck.
It's a duck, y'all.
So
interesting topic right away. I'm intrigued. I know nothing about mallards other than that they are a kind of duck. So I feel like I'm going in blind, but I assume Nerdbomber is also going in blind.
So I love rolling right into it. And my first question is going to be, when were mallards first domesticated? What year?
In our yard specifically in 2022. No, I'm just joking. I will go first on this one. I don't actually know the answer, but I already jumped in, so I might as well do this. I'm going to say they were domesticated very early. I feel like this was Jesus times. I'm going to say...
Did you say Jesus times?
Yeah. I'm going to say okay. 180.
That's Jesus times, all right. Well, actually, it's immediately post-Jesus times. Yeah, I don't... First of all, I am 7 and 8. Techtic is 8 and 6. Nerdbomber 6 and 8. Steven 1 and 1. So we're all kind of fighting for around the 500 level of recordness. I don't know what the term domesticated even means in the context of mallards. The whole premise is confusing. So I'm gonna do something unprecedented. I'm gonna use my +1 early. I'm gonna say 280.
Oh, you jerk!
So you both busted.
Oh, it was before. Darn it! That makes sense.
They were domesticated in 4000 BJT by Egyptians, BJT? Chinese, and Europeans.
Before Jesus times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for
that. Okay, so I wasted my +1 is what you're telling me. That's bad. It's not great for the team right out of the gate. Okay. Fine. Okay,
so the next question was related to hatching mallards. How long does incubation take?
How long does a mallard take to cook in there? I don't think it's that long. 12 days.
I feel like it's longer than that. I feel like it's on the order of 3 weeks. I'm going to say 20 days though, because I like even numbers better.
So the answer, there's actually 2 answers. It's a really tight window. It's 27 to 28 days. So Nerdbomber takes this one.
That's crap. I accept the outcome.
Eggs.
Next question. How long can mallards live up to?
Okay. I think they can live a long time. Because I looked this up recently. I will say that, because I was like, if I kept this mallard that we accidentally domesticated, how long would I potentially have
Can I
this
just
stuff?
tell a real quick story?
Sure.
So the mallard...
You guys accidentally domesticated a mallard? Is that the story?
We had this duck that kept coming in our pool cover. And
multiple years, to be clear. This is the third year he came back.
He started to really trust us. We named him Steve. He would follow me around. But then when we took the pool cover off, he kept landing in the pool cover and pooping in the pool. And we had a situation where I had to yell at him and be like, go on, we don't want you here anymore. And he looked confused and betrayed. And this happened over the course of the week.
It was heartbreaking.
It was completely and totally heartbreaking. I haven't seen it.
Why was that not your what are you up to Wednesday?
Because I didn't want to talk about it. And this quiz is just hitting me too close to home. I had to say it. Okay. Had to get that off my chest. So how long can mallards live up to?
So anyway, 20 years.
It's not that long. 5 years.
Illeagle is not going to be happy. This is one of those nail on the head situations.
It's 20 years?
20 years exactly. And
that's crap.
Yeah, it is, which is crazy too, because like in the wild, it's like 3 years, but if like under the right conditions, they can live pretty long.
Well, Nerdbomber still has her +1, so in order to even tie, I need to get at least one answer exactly correct. And I feel good about that. So hit me with the next question.
What is the wingspan of the average mallard?
In what units?
Inches.
30 inches.
31.
She is ruthless.
Is it like 32 or something?
It's 32 to 39 inches. We would have had a situation if you guessed 32 and she guessed 33, because both would have been technically correct.
Yeah, that's crap. I'm not happy about that. I've lost.
This is almost a sweep, except for the bust. But
she busted, and also we have one question left.
Just for redeeming credibility, how tall is the world's largest rubber ducky?
Oh my god, I knew this once. The largest rubber ducky used to travel around, like it traveled around America. There's like the world record biggest rubber duck. And we actually kayaked up to it at one point, and I knew this answer.
I touched it.
We touched the big duck, but I don't remember how big it is. Oh man.
What's the units?
Feet.
And like, is it how tall it is or how wide it is?
How tall?
I know it's as big as a battleship.
It's pretty wide too. It's got the thickness.
It's a thick boy.
For the thickness.
I'm gonna say, I'm trying to think even how tall buildings are. I don't know, man. 100 feet.
That's a fine guess. I'm just gonna double it and say 200.
You both busted.
Was it 50?
It was 61 feet.
My other gut feel was to go with 50, and I should have listened.
So
tiny duck.
Either way, Nerdbomber takes this one. Illeagle, you are in a
I'm on a horrendous slide. So the record. So Nerdbomber moves 7 and 8, Techtic 8 and 6, and I'm 7 and 9. So I mean, me and Nerdbomber still are like basically tied, but it's been rough. I don't know what else to say besides that. The slide continues. I will try to regain my dignity next week, as always, or it seems like as I always do these days. In the meantime, we thank you for joining us to learn about mallards and about bread boxes, and various games at the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. We hope you enjoyed what you listened to. Head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review there if you did or if you didn't, and hit us up on Twitter at the handles we mentioned, and let us know what you think about baloney, because that was another thing that came up. Without further ado, I will let Techtic take us out with a tech tip.
Hey, so if you're feeling down, my recommendation to you is to get yourself a fish tank, bring it into the house, put a bunch of fish in it, and just as many as you can fit into this large fish tank, because it's supposed to help with endorphins.
Have a good week, everybody.